What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/mi, the butthole, of course. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along a timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it just massively helps out our channel, and I can never express that enough. I know I say it every single time, but it just means so much to the channel that I need to say it. So thank you for being you, and let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Key Medium 9048. Am I the arsehole for prioritizing a random guy over my girlfriend? So I, 27 male, work at a bar, and yesterday after the bar closed, a guy came up to me. Let's call him Jason. He looked young, like only just old enough to get it, and he loudly asked me when we were leaving. Not obnoxiously loud, but still loud enough so others heard him. I didn't know Jason and asked him what he meant. He said, "Jessica said you would give me a ride home." I don't know a Jessica. He then takes out his phone and says, "Look, she texted me." He held up his phone and pressed the power button on, and the dead battery screen showed up. I looked back at him and he looked desperate and terrified. I then saw this man staring directly at Jason. It then clicked that Jason was scared and needed an out. I pretended to check my phone and acted like I just saw a text from Jessica and walked him outside. The man followed, so I walked him to my car and quietly told him I would drive him to the gas station that was 3 minutes away. We got into my car and drove off, and luckily the guy didn't follow. I let Jason use my charger to charge his phone and drove him to the gas station. He called his roommate to come get him, and I waited with him until his ride arrived. Once Jason had left with his roommate, I started to drive home. Due to the mix of roadworks and helping Jason, I got home about 20 minutes later than I should have. When I got back, my girlfriend, 25 female, was giving me the cold shoulder. An hour after I got back, she finally talked to me. She was upset that I was late and didn't call her. She had a friend that worked nights and she got jumped, mugged and died. She worries about me, so we agreed that I would always call her if I was going to be late. I normally do, but I just forgot. When I explained what happened, she was upset that I prioritized a stranger over her and that I should have cared about her more and remembered. Now, I know I'm not the arsehole for helping Jason, but I really worried my girlfriend and a simple phone call wouldn't have been that hard. I've never forgotten before, but I've just never been in that situation before. So, am I the arsehole? Edit, please stop asking if staying with my girlfriend is worth it or telling me I should end it because she has emotional trauma. Now, originally with this one, I was going to come in with a no one's an arsehole here, a very rare one of those, but thinking about it and reading over it again, it got me thinking when she said like she was upset that I prioritized a stranger over her and that I should have cared more about her and remembered. What I really dislike about that comment is, and I can really understand the girlfriend has trauma and she has issues from about her friend and what happened there. But at the same time, OP went out their way to potentially stop them from being in harm's way. So they done a fantastic thing. And sure, a phone call in this would have been really helpful. But when you're put into that situation and, adrenaline's going because you think something's going on, you forget about simple little things like this. And it sounds like OP was more concerned about the welfare of this person. So I think OP did totally the right thing, and I don't want to call the girlfriend a massive arsehole for this, but she is certainly verging on the side of it just for that statement she said, I think. Because let's face it, OP potentially stopped Jason suffering the same fate, potentially mind you, the same fate as her friend did, so I can't call OP an arsehole for this. But let's move on to some of the comments to see what they say. And Oleg says, and quotes, "She was upset that I prioritized a stranger over her and that I should have cared about her more and remembered. I may be downvoted to oblivion, but if her reaction to your explanation is this, I would say that this is a red flag. This is borderline narcissistic, if not full blown. She has an issue that she should deal with and soon. Not the arsehole. In fact, you are more than just not the arsehole. You did great. You're probably that young man's hero. Your girlfriend should have been proud, but she chose to act like that. ETA, what prevented the girlfriend from calling you instead? If she was that worried, she should have called you. So I'd call bull on her using past trauma, unless she tried to call you, but you didn't see, hear, take the call. I'm not convinced that her past trauma would have a valid explanation for her behaviour. ETA 2, when I said she has an issue, I'm not claiming that girlfriend has personality disorder like narcissism. If her past trauma is the cause of how she acts like this, she has an issue to consult a professional because her behaviour was so extreme. If she indeed has narcissism, she also has an issue to consult a professional. But I just wanted to point out that her past trauma doesn't seem to make sense as a reason to use silent treatment. To say something so selfish like the quote above, and to prevent her from calling and texting OP. After all, the OP did help a person from possibly ending up in the same situation as her best friend. And Porty Lover says, your life should revolve around me, my needs and wants. You should always intuitively know what those are. No exceptions, OP's girlfriend. Not the arsehole. And Loch Ness Monster says, not the arsehole, and giving you the cold shoulder for an hour isn't a way to treat you. She could have just asked that next time you tried to remember to text her. You did a good thing. And Fire says, I was going to say no one's an arsehole here, but then I read what happened after you explained. Not the arsehole, you were being a good person, and she's mad you got distracted protecting someone from potential assault. I hate using this term, since I feel we've watered down its meaning to the point of basically nothing, but freaking yikes, dude. And one more from Trillium Summer saying, it probably would have been nice if you sent a text, but honestly 20 minutes isn't that late, depending on where you are. Traffic can easily add 20 minutes to my commute home, and actually that's on the short side. 30 to 40 minutes isn't uncommon. But the silent treatment is never acceptable treatment. It is often used as a tactic and form of abuse. It might not be a red flag in this relationship as she didn't stay silent for long, but she should have used her words as, next time can you send me a text if that you'll be later than usual. Not the arsehole, and thank you for helping Jason out. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and what would you do in it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, I read the title of this next one and I thought, you cheeky bastard. I gotta get involved in this one. Danny109, this is the story from them that says, am I the arsehole for no longer making my husband sandwiches to take to work after discovering he was selling them? My female 33 husband, male 37, works in an advertising company. We're struggling a bit financially because we're saving up to purchase a new apartment. He's used to eating fast food and it was costly. He had no problem spending money daily on fast food. After doing the math, he spends more than $300 a month on just fast food. $20 daily. We live in an expensive area. I talked to him about it. He agreed that I make sandwiches for him to take with him to work. That way he eats healthy and we spare money for rent. Everything was going on well. I noticed he wouldn't respond when I asked whether he liked the sandwiches I make, but kept asking me make more than 2 since he was hungry. Yesterday, he came home with his friend and co-worker. We sat at the dinner table and his friend brought up the sandwiches I make for my husband, and how delicious they are. I thanked him, then he said the price was a bit much. I was confused. I asked him to explain, and he said my husband sells the sandwiches I make to his co-workers, then goes to buy his own lunch from the restaurant. I was stunned. My husband denied it. I began arguing with him after his friend left. He said there was nothing wrong with it. I told him I will no longer be making sandwiches if he's selling them to buy fast food. He defended himself, calling this an overreaction since he's not spending money on fast food, and said I was being unfair to start an argument over this. I just walked into the bedroom and stayed there, and he said I owed him an apology for God knows what, and he didn't think it was acceptable of me to lash out and say I won't make him sandwiches anymore. Now, I know I made a joke out of this title because someone like doing this, it just blows my mind, and I'm just like, how can anyone think this is acceptable? The OP says in their post that, you know, they're struggling financially, so making sandwiches is a good thing rather than spending $300 a month on fast food, which is totally logical, right? So OP said, I'll make your sandwiches for you, which is fantastic. You know, out of the kindness of her heart, making him nice, healthy sandwiches for him, so looking after his health, looking after the finances too. And then he's going ahead and selling them, and then claiming it doesn't really matter because I'm sort of making that money from the sandwiches. But OP's having to buy the sandwich bread, the fillings, and all that sort of stuff, so it is still costing them money. Probably not as much as fast food, but it's still costing them money. And asking for extra sandwiches as well, the cheeky sod. He's literally set himself up a mini business at his workplace with you as free labor. I mean, come on, man. And isn't $20, couldn't that buy you a lot of fast food in the US? I'm not sure what the prices are like over there, but over here that's about £14, nearly £15 in our currency. And I could buy a ton of food. I could super large Burger King meals for that sort of price, and I wouldn't even get through half of one. So how the hell is he eating that much food? Well, unless he's selling that as well. You're definitely not the arsehole in this situation, but let's check out some of the comments to see what they say. Curly K says, not the arsehole, he was profiting off your kindness and labour. He kept that he was selling them a secret because he knew it was wrong. And Demonic says, not the arsehole, your husband is ridiculous. On another note, what kind of sandwiches are you making that he's able to sell them for a high price? Can I have the recipe? And Lizzie says, not the arsehole. Let him make his own sandwiches to sell if he's so hell-bent on spending money on fast food. And that horrible dude says, not the arsehole. I read this out loud to my wife while laughing. The look I got back told me everything I needed to know. And double-breasted Burb replies to this saying, honestly, my hat's off to this guy. What creativity, lol. I could see me doing something like this to my husband, but in my defense, he once spent almost an entire year experimenting with a George Foreman grill, and eventually had to throw it out, because if I saw one more flattened leathered chicken breast, I was going to lose it. And Alexis Play says, not the arsehole, does he really think his eating out isn't costing money? Groceries aren't free. And finally, According Television says, not the arsehole, honestly, this is pretty funny, but I can understand why it wouldn't be for you. He's literally using your labour to earn money so he can get the fast food you couldn't afford. It's crazy that he thought it would be okay, and hilarious that he got caught and still tried to defend himself. He can make his own sandwiches and sell them if he wants to pay for fast food. You can't be funding him like that, he's a grown man. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and what would you do in it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from Win M. Doze. Am I the arsehole for putting ugly one-way mirrors on the windows facing one of my neighbours because I saw the husband looking in my windows? I live in an apartment on the ground floor of a house that was converted to apartments. My neighbours, one street over, but the back of their house faces the back of the house I live in, can see my whole backyard and vice versa. My apartment has a whole wall of windows that are on the back of the house. It's gorgeous and is a big reason I picked the place. I love keeping plants and it lets in a lot of light. Looking out, there is a neighbour's backyard which is large and comes up close to my place. The property line is maybe 10 or 15 feet from my windows. Once it has gotten to be warm out, I've noticed the husband of the family who owns that house looking into my apartment a lot. Even sometimes I look up and see him, look away then look back minutes later and he's still looking. So I started shutting the shades during the day, but that was kind of annoying. My place is dark, cramped shoebox without the windows open, and I can't do that for too long because the plants were struggling without light. So I bought these window coverings that make the windows into one-way mirrors. During the day when it's light out, my windows look just like mirrors now. From the inside, it looks pretty much the same. The windows look tinted slightly darker, but that's it. From the outside, you can't see in at all. It looks exactly like mirrors. The section of windows it's applied to is about 8 feet high and 20 feet wide. After a week of the window coverings being up, both of the parents from the neighbour's house came to my door and wanted to talk to me. The wife was complaining about the windows for a lot of reasons. 1, they were ugly. 2, it was uncomfortable, especially for the teens and their friends to have huge mirrors adjacent to the swimming pool. It's at a time they feel insecure about looks and they have lost interest in hanging out by the pool. 3, in the afternoon and evening, it was reflecting a lot of extra sunlight into their backyard. They couldn't enjoy eating dinner on the back porch with the sun in their eyes. I said sorry about the inconvenience, but I wanted it for privacy. They both pushed back on that some and I said that I needed privacy because of the husband staring. He started to deny it in front of his wife, and so I took out my phone where I'd taken pictures and sent it to a group of my friends, and showed her a couple of the pictures of him gaping at my apartment and the text from that time. He got mad and said he incidentally looked over and the 8 foot by 20 foot mirror was a crazy overreaction. I said that I'd like to keep it and I was sorry, but frankly this was avoidable. I think they're both mad because they called my landlord, who brushed them off. Am I the arsehole for putting mirrored film on my windows? Now, I kind of want to be controversial on this one. It's for a very odd reason, so I feel kind of bad for doing so. You're absolutely not the arsehole for wanting privacy if someone's staring into your house. I'd absolutely hate that too. But I do know there is other things you can use on your windows rather than mirrored film. Because mirrored film, and I know this is going to be a controversial one, but, you know, it does kill birds. It's that simple. Reflections like that can kill birds because they fly into them because they see sky, they see trees and the reflections, bang, straight into them. They don't see it as glass or anything like that. And I know this because when I moved into this place, it's got a conservatory on the back with massive glass windows on it. And I was there for about a week and then suddenly, bang, a bird flew into it. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And I was straight on Google in the evening because it hit me really hard. And it sounds quite pathetic, I know, but it hit me really hard. And I seeing this bird just on the floor and it went into the glass and it was horrible. And that's when I learned about it. Maybe I should have known about that sooner, but so now I've just got like these anti-collision stickers and haven't had an issue since putting those up. So hopefully, you know, it won't happen again. But that's the only reason I would say you'd be the arsehole in this, for just not finding a different solution. But also, hey, if it hasn't happened yet, if you haven't had a bird crash into your window and die, then, you know, who am I to call you an arsehole? But that was the only way I was going down. So maybe I should go for a not the arsehole in this one. You tell me. But Throwaway says, not the arsehole, you proved that you needed the privacy because her husband is a creep and they're upset for being called out. You don't owe them anything, and if your landlord hasn't contacted you about it, then you don't need to do anything that you don't want to. And Knox Wild laughs, gasps, wheezes and snorts. That conversation sure didn't go the way they thought it was going to go, did it? They got all self-righteous and indignant about their poor teens with their low self-esteem and insecurity about their looks. And oh no, now they can't swim anymore because it's your fault. Honestly, what a load of steaming bullshit. I would have loved to hear that conversation between the wife and her husband when they got home. Not the arsehole. And Hazaru says, not the arsehole, you only put it up because he was staring into your window. Whatever his reason, that's pretty creepy, especially since it seems to be happening a lot. Tell them you'll only consider taking it down if they put up covers on their property, which stop the husband from being able to see in your window. If they don't like it, then too bad. Any complaints from any other party who doesn't like it should also be directed to the peeping husband. And Empress Jania Solo says, not the arsehole, because of why you did it, but mirrored blinds that increase heat and confuse wildlife don't sound ideal. Have you tried magical blinds? They're also one way but don't give off a reflection. I would argue that since neighbours are the ones being bothered, they can pay for your new blinds, but that would obviously escalate the situation. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also my wild take. And our next story is from Informal Ad 504. Am I the arsehole for saying a company doesn't deserve me as an employee if they can't cater to help me be more productive at work? I work best when studying and home and in school. When I work for around 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. We currently have 3-hour lessons in which we are given maybe one 5-minute break at most. I lose focus after about 45 to 50 minutes of straight work, and after that I produce work that's pretty much negligible. I got a warning from a teacher because I shouldn't be taking breaks so often. In the real world, I will be expected to go on for hours with no breaks. My mum said he's completely right because employers won't let me do this when I'm working a proper job, and I should get used to working long hours. I told her that I'm studying and in school for me, and my work benefits me, so I'll do it how I find easiest and most effective. Once I'm working for someone else, my work benefits them, and so if they don't want me to be more productive, I will take more pay for less work, and it's their loss, not mine. I asked her would she rather me work 8 hours straight with breaks every few hours and get X amount of studying done, or she lets me break every 25 minutes for 5 minutes, and in just 6 hours gets around 2 times the amount of work done. She just laughed, said I'm completely ridiculous, no employer is ever going to employ me. My needs and wants are completely ridiculous, and I need to check myself because my ego is through the roof thinking I deserve better than every other employee. I tried explaining that I'm not the one benefiting from this, it's the employer. They could have me do twice the work for 2 hours less pay, and if everyone could work the way they find most effective, the company is the only person benefiting. Again though, I'm being ridiculous and cocky, and need to sort my head out, and I'm being a complete arsehole about this. Finally I said, you know what, it's fine if a company doesn't want to allow this, their ignorance can suit themselves. They can miss out on the opportunity to gain one of the most productive employees, and they don't deserve me as an employee if they couldn't cater to help me help them. I apologise that I'm not a sheep and won't just work the way everyone is expected to work, because that just does not work for me. She is now genuinely seems angry about it. Also, I'd like to point out that I made it clear I think everyone should be able to work as productive as they can and shouldn't all have to stick shitty long 8+ hour work days with breaks every few hours. She thinks I'm really full of myself because I think I deserve so much better than everybody else, and what have you done to prove that? When in reality, this really doesn't benefit me at all. Sure, I'd get to work less, but I'd get paid less too for more work. How is wanting to do more work for a company for a less pay egotistical and being full of myself? Not to mention, if I was an employer, I'd want to cater to everyone so they can all work as productive as possible. I don't know if I missed something here, but am I the arsehole? And we're going to head straight to the comments with this one with the Kurgan rule saying, yeah, you're the arsehole. Companies don't cater to the employees. They'll just replace you with someone who can give the 8 hours of work instead. Most companies will give you breaks throughout the day, but not every hour. Usually, at least companies I've worked at, they give you 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch break. And here Fishy says, I would work so much better if I got paid $50 more an hour. However, that's not what the market is like. So I need to learn how to work well while getting paid a normal rate. If you want to be unemployed because a company doesn't cater to you, that's your decision. You're the arsehole for this weird attitude though. Work for a while, become efficient and productive under normal circumstances. Get serious skill, then be so desirable by companies that they will actually cater to you. And Bored Again says, you're the arsehole, you're going to get a major wake-up call when you hit the real world. Anyone is replaceable in work. It's not you sound 2 times the work, it's you doing what's 100% normal and expected. If you take breaks so often, then they're just going to replace you. You are overinflating your ego with one of the most productive employees. And I'm sure when you're struggling financially because you can't keep a job, this is going to be a huge wake-up call. You should learn to focus after just 45 minutes. And El Farank says, you're the arsehole not for believing that you are more productive in short bursts, but for arguing that you are right and that the employer should bow to your way of working. I'm guessing you never held a real full-time job, so your lived experience here is 0. Your mum, on the other hand, likely has first-hand experience of how the working world works. Good luck to you if you find a job that accommodates your requirements, but you're very naive if you think it's common. And that there says, in quotes, they can miss out on the opportunity to gain one of the most productive employees, and they don't deserve me as an employee if they couldn't cater to helping me help them. Then says the company won't care. They'll get someone who can work to their schedule. Your mum's right, you're the arsehole. And B-Master says, you're the arsehole, listen, I work better that way too. Most people do, but the real world doesn't cater to that. Companies, especially in the USA, would rather overwork for mediocre work than give you more pay and time to do better work. She's right, it's going to be very hard to find a job with this kind of attitude. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. As I said at the very start, and I know I say it every single time, it massively helps out this channel. It really, really does. So thank you for doing you. And if you want to support the channel further, it is hugely appreciated, but never expected. But just by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link in the description for Patreon and joining up there. Huge thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.